welcome to Between Escrows. I am one of your hosts, Amy Scruggs, and this is
Roger Savvy, Ambassador of Optimism, and you surely have landed at the right place.
This is the show for you if you are interested in growing your relationship building, your sales, your understanding of your business, and how to grow and be stable and enjoy it with the Ambassador of Optimism. I am a branding coach. You are at the right place. We have amazing episodes coming up. You don't want to miss it.
There she is.
You are at the right place. We are at the right place today.
We're always at the right place. It's an intentional thing.
Roger, I'm fired up today. I don't know about you.
I'm fired up too because we've got a star guest. A star guest. Yeah. Am I allowed to say his name now? Of course I am, right?
Of course you are. Why not?
Joe Burns. Joe Burns, who's a legend in the San Francisco, Marin County, Novato area, because he is involved in so much in the community and a realtor, a leader, a professional, and he's here on our show.
Yes. And as much as I'm sure all of you following and watching this, love Roger and I, of course, but it is always really great when we find other like-minded professionals who are willing to come in and say, yes, I want to share. So this is literally nuggets of amazing wisdom. If you are in any industry, it doesn't matter. You're going to learn about leadership and how to persevere and how to represent yourself and how to build and grow, not only as a human, but as a professional. If you're in the real estate and lending industry, you better get your notebook, take some notes, and be ready. Roger, why don't you share a little bit about Joe's background, just who he is? And I want to bring him in because we don't want him to run away in the waiting room.
Yes. Joe has been in this industry of lending, in leadership, in corporate, in civics, in real estate for about 35 to 40 years. And he has learned so much about the professional that just starts, a novice, a rookie, and all the changes that they go through to become the Stallion. They start in as a mule and evolve. And he has been part of that evolution in so many professional realtors, loan originators, civic people's lives. And I'm so excited to gather that wisdom from him today.
Without further ado,
there he is. Welcome, Joe Burns.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
It's absolutely fabulous to have you here. And so I'm just going to dive straight in with your permission, Joe. And
absolutely. Let's do this.
Okay. Joe,
let everybody know that live with us, you can make comments. We would love to hear from you. If you have a question for Joe or for Roger or myself, let us know what you're thinking and that you're here joining us and where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you.
We would love to hear that. You're absolutely right. Joe, you've led city government, business, sports, volunteer organizations, and of course, real estate, where I got to meet you. And across all of those environments, what is the one truth about human nature that you've learned never changes?
The one thing I think, I think it's what we need to always have both in business and our personal life. It's curiosity. It's kind of, we know it's a skill that needs to be honed and it needs to be nurtured, but it's also, I think, lives in all of us and different areas bring it out. And I find that I succeed better when I'm curious about something, and I work better with people when they're curious about what we're doing. So I really see that and curiosity is fairly broad, I think, but in that lean in, like, well, tell me more. What does that mean? How do I get better? What is the next step? Those drive both leadership and the audience that you're leading or speaking to, I think.
Right. So
if I had to think of one thing on the fly.
No, and that makes just perfect sense, Joe. So does that mean action comes first or motivation comes first?
I think it's circular almost. I think some people act and then they're motivated to see what change they have to make and act but you need to know, you need to kind of get a taste of something before you're motivated. So I think there might be an action before the motivation, but the next steps is always what is so interesting in that motivation. And, looking at it from a sports angle, which I do often, unfortunately, put that parable into a lot of things. You see a star high school athlete who transitions to college. That transition, their blink moment, really, when they start that next level, is what's going to drive them for those next 4 years in college and then the next 8 years in the pros. It's always that as soon as you go up a level, what motivates you now to get to the top of that level, from high school to college to pro to veteran pro, wherever that is, you take that next step and then excel through that platform that you're on.
There was a lot of wisdom in that. And, Joe, I'm going to give a little philosophical opener and then jump into the first real pithy question about real estate, because you've spent almost 40 years helping people grow, right? In business, public service, you've done coaching, real estate, and across all of those experiences, what have you learned about human potential? Why do some people continue to grow while others seem to get stuck?
The growth mindset is something that I think is really just at the start of our evolution on where that goes with artificial intelligence and all the other things on the horizon that will break down the intellect. The growth mindset and the emotional maturity is really what's going to lead that next chapter, I think, both in business and personally. And that ability to have an open mind, to look around you, it is an emotional maturity, but it's also that ability or that desire to know more and not just stay in that comfort zone.
I absolutely, I agree. And I hear you. So now we get down to the real estate side of it. When you look at the agents throughout their careers, what changes as they move from beginner to professional to top producers? Is the challenge always the same, or does the challenge evolve?
The challenge evolves. And one of the biggest things that I see is getting the confidence, for one. And when that confidence level gets to a certain point and they know that they can do the business, they know that they can close a deal or speak openly to clients or perform the tasks, then those growths down to systems, how well they build their system to meet both their personal goals and what they plan to do in business. And I think as much as I love teaching new agents. This has been, since I've been doing this in my current role, there's been no more fun I've had in this industry in 40 years than talking to a brand new agent and bringing them up into a professional agent, and watching their confidence grow. But that next step is really then becomes where we both have to dig in hard to create the system that's going to allow them to go from one deal that was good, 3 deals that were, you got them done, but boy, you couldn't do much more that year, to 8 deals, to 20 deals, to really growing a team. All those require systems and an in-look at the business that they probably didn't know when they got into the business that it was going to look like that. Right.
Roger, do you mind if I ask a question?
Of course.
Joe, because you've worked with so many professionals, all ages and stages, through all the years and the different ups and downs of real estate and the different changes in life, could you identify 1 or 2 common, let's say, fears or self-restrictions that you notice when somebody is newer in the business that creates their own obstacle? Is there something that you're like, oh yes, I've seen this every time, someone always gets right here and they're afraid of A, B, or C?
Yeah, I think it is that ability to say, I'm not sure I want to answer that, or let me find out more. They're afraid to launch if they don't have all the answers, and you can't have all the answers in this industry. For one, there's a ton of them, and 2, they're changing all the time. So we all have to be able to say, this issue is unique to me. Let me find out more before we act. Being able to back up and do the right and get the right information and go forward, that scares people to act. New agents are, oh, I have an open house, I don't know what I need to do to prepare. And the answer is just be able to talk to people. Just ask them. Ask them a question, let them talk. It really isn't much. You don't have to break down the entire industry. You just have to listen and chat with somebody. Really, open houses should not be that stressful for a new agent. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain, and you have a great conversation with people who come in and look at the house.
Do you find that encouragement gets them over the hump? That just even identifying the commonality of that fear, like everybody else feels the same way, we're going to get you over it.
Yes. And I've had conversations on Sunday mornings, 2 hours before they're going. They're now getting their ready, and they're going, I got to call Joe. And they call and say, I have an open house, my first one, or this is the first one in this neighborhood, or first one in this town. What am I going to do? And frankly, at that point, there's nothing I can tell them other than the real answer, which is go out and talk to people and have a good time. Relax, chat, listen, and learn. No easier job really than that. And I say that now after having come home from open houses, wiped out because I was so nervous about what I was going to say or do. So I can tell them that because I've been in those shoes and probably was in those shoes a lot longer than they are currently. I wore those shoes for a long time, being nervous in that regard.
Pattern.
Yeah. And that's just one example, the open house being one example, but the fear to launch, or fear to put a mailer out because you're not sure if the information's correct. So you keep changing it. Now the stats have to be redone, and now you have to redo this, and it never gets out because of the fear of just doing it. So the concern that we're being judged or that the agent is going to lose something is the biggest thing for them to get over, to just say, just do it. Everybody else is just doing it. Just do it.
So I heard what I was interpreting as you were speaking is that you endeavor to give the rookie, the novice, the assistance in finding their voice, that leadership is actually about being a good listener rather than being the microphone, right? Just by asking great questions and listening, they can get over that hump. Is that what I heard?
I think that's what you heard, in that being a good leader and a good student requires listening. I think I learn the more I listen to them as their teacher, but in asking them, what is it that you're concerned about, or what is the fear, and letting them say it to me is better than me saying it to them. So I do kind of go through the process of what exactly, sometimes it's almost, I almost play it as I'm not quite understanding you. What is this again? This part, just so that they say it enough and they go, yeah, really, I don't know really why I called you. I get it now. So that's
leadership.
In leadership, as a topic in the careers I've been through, city government and other sales, and then real estate sales, they change with the dynamic we have with our agents. And as I lead a government, that's different, and it's much different than leading independent contractors, different than leading employees. Because you have different expectations and different requirements on how what you get out of them and what you're really allowed to require from them. So I find that leading a real estate professional and mentoring or teaching this business has a much different approach than when I was in a media company selling and marketing newspaper brands in a certain area, and having employees that were for editors, publisher, writers, advertising, sales. They had totally different ways of leading that group as employees of the company, as opposed to independent contractors. So there's a lot of differences that you would implement as you change across industry lines.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. So interesting. And you made such a fabulous point there, that the teacher always learns more than the student because of the listening, right? And that's how your wisdom grows. It's by just being that fabulous listener. And the other thing that I took from you is that you don't have a one-size-fits-all approach. You listen very carefully and personalize it to the right person and the demographic that's in front of you. Am I summarizing that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. And definitely with the agents on our team and in our company, and agents in general, they're so diverse. This is by far the most diverse work set that I've ever dealt with. I thought it was pretty unique when I ran some newspapers and I had an editor and a circulation manager and an advertising director in the same room. And those are three completely far out, unrelated jobs that had the same goal. In real estate, we have everyone's the same goal, but their backgrounds are tremendously different.
Right? They come from all walks of life.
Oh my goodness. In fact, that's one of the funnest
things. Yes.
That's the most fun thing when I interview a candidate or an agent for the first time is like, how are you going to add to this beautiful mix we have? What is your background? You know, what do you bring to this? What is it? A potpourri of on the table. So the backgrounds really, then you have to tailor the personality and the skill set to that person.
We have a question here that I just popped on the screen. How do you get them to realize that they want to do something?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think it's really easy to just tell them what the next step is. And that's sometimes why they engaged me. And to try to manipulate that over to here's why, get them to realize why they want it. It does come down to having them voice it back to me, I think. And then knowing kind of what obstacle they have in front of them before they know what obstacle they have in front of them, and be able to have them talk through it so that they're prepared for that next stage.
Yep.
But I think they see from me and the agents. When I say they, I mean the agents that I'm currently working with, which is 35 to 40 in my own offices and 15 to 20 more new agents within our company. When we engage, I want them to hear from me that I'm doing the same thing, or I'm approaching something the same way. And I take it back to what we offer our client is the same thing that we need to engage in that conversation with is stick to the objectives. We need emotion, but we can't let the emotion dictate the conversation. So when I can feel a sense of fear, or I can feel a sense of concern, or I can feel one of the emotions striking up, I have to bring them back to, remember, these are the objectives. This is what you know. This is what you do. You already have this much experience. I know you think you're a new agent, but you far exceed already the understanding of this transaction than your client has. You already are the professional in the room. You feel brand new, and that's your fear. But the reality is they don't know a whole lot more. If they're a first-time buyer, they own their home for 30 years and don't remember the transaction from 1982.
Right.
You know more than they do today. So don't fall into that fear that you're brand new. And remind them of those objectives so that they can overcome that and then go on to what they need to do at that meeting, that engagement.
So, Joe, before I ask you the next question, I just want you to know what the frame of reference is in the back of my head. For the rookie, the novice, their biggest challenge is normally, how do I get traction? Along with the fear and taking action, as you said. Then you get those agents that used to be great, but are waiting for the good old days to come back. And they're
Don't you know who I used to be?
And their biggest challenge is obviously change. They resist it. Then you get the top producer, and their biggest challenge is normally leverage and efficiency, right? Then you get the mega producer, and it's about leadership and overhead is their challenge. Then you get the elite performer, whose challenge is to stay focused. So if you had to diagnose the biggest threat at each stage, what would it be? What derails rookies? What derails successful agents? What derails top producers?
I think it's, so many different cliches. It's forgetting to use the target and just spray shooting, going out and shooting a gun up in the air and hoping a bird's flying by at that very moment. It's taking the eye off the prize. I think we're creatures of competition and, and copycat. And we see something happen in our industry. We see an agent all of a sudden get some business, and boy, I saw them on this site too. I think they're advertising there. I'm going to switch guns and go over to this thing. Now I'm going to start advertising here. Oh, wait. No, I think I'm going to do this direct mail piece. Yeah, I need to get into social media. What if I became they're just bing, bang, boom, bouncing around like a ball in a room, and forgetting to keep the eye on the prize, the target, stay consistent with an approach. I think that's something that follows through until you get to those higher levels that you mentioned, Roger, of the system taking over and saying, yes, I do see that person doing this, but this is my system, and we're going to keep doing it. That seems to get them through those transitions when they stay to their system, stay to their eye on the and not start flailing around, which is really easy to do in this business.
Absolutely, because I know that those new rookies are dealing with people, the public, who have an attention span of 2.5 seconds. There's competition everywhere. Everyone knows realtors. We get treated like commodities. Just pick the realtor or do it for the lowest commission. And it's so easy to feel mediocre and average. And so obviously channeling your energy and focus and staying on one thing and not getting distracted seems like it's a very, very prevalent issue amongst most realtors.
Oh, I think that really is one of the most prevalent, and it really then requires that on-site or very accessible manager, broker, mentor, whoever you have that has a stake in your business that can see that when it's happening and say, hey, how's it going? Where are you with this plan we talked about in December about, knocking on doors or whatever it is, being able to kind of check them on that, because it is really easy for me, and I think all of us, but probably not most of the astute listeners out here, but to really to lose your path a little bit, and to have somebody, a partner, a business partner, a mentor, somebody involved in your business to say, where are you on that track? I think is really, and it's a key role that I see me play when I can with our more experienced agents. I love working with the new people. We have agents, as you know, that are they're going to do a certain amount of deals every year, and they just do them, and it just happens. And maybe it's a system. It's many years in the business, and I can see when something's not quite right, and it's discussions with them or a little check-in here and there, and it's just that staying consistent.
I hear it.
That really plays a role for us.
Yep, I hear it, Joe. And thank you. So obviously, the next question is an issue for most people, because today we seem to have more tools, more technology, more AI than at any other time in history, right? More information than we've ever had before. Yet many people seem so distracted. And with all of this, we've become the loneliest nation on earth, because we've got this one-size-fits-all approach through technology, and we just hide behind it. Why do you think we are so distracted today with all of this going on?
Well, I think it's a scientific question that's being asked and answered in so many different areas in media, from the 8-second attention span to the mobilization of just about everything we have, the need for everything to happen right away. We can't change that. We just can't look at something and say, I'm going to try to back this up. I see right now the stop hand going up to AI in real estate, or AI as a business tool or a platform or even a system. And you can't stop it. So we have to kind of then go back to what the skill set that we do have, and the skill set that can overcome this informational deluge is the ability to have your emotions managed and in check and process it on your own. Speed of information is a fantastic tool. If you don't know how to control it, it can be a devastating hammer blow. So you have to be able to slow your game down, use the tools when needed, and emotionally maturely approach with growth these decision-making opportunities or these action periods, and not get torn away or thrown off track with the amount of information that comes. And I'm falling into this catch right now too, where we're changing as an industry so quickly. And I'm involved at CAR on a kind of higher level of leadership in that group, where we're in the room talking about what real estate looks like in the future, and everywhere from contracts to legislative things we're going to be working on. And it's really easy to see all that in the future and then come back and get like off my game because I'm worried about something that really is not there to start to worry about.
Yes.
To have conversations about what we need to do in the future should not mean that I have to start getting worried about what's going to happen in the future. It just means that we're having conversations about the future and we're getting things in line to
it's interesting, Joe, as you were speaking to, and of course my brain goes this direction because I do media communications and communications coaching for a living here. But I noticed there's a common thread even when we talk about new agents, or that fear of being in an open house or not knowing if I need help getting over that hump. It comes down to the ability to communicate. And as humans, sometimes we always feel like somebody else is going to be judging us. Well, if I don't want to look stupid, I don't want to sound uneducated in this, I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm doing. When we get past that fear of just being a human in our communications, that it's okay, like you said, to say, I don't know what the newest policies are on that, I'm going to get back to you. Or yes, I'm going to just show up at this open house and just be human and say, you have a beautiful family, thank you for coming to visit the home. Learning how to tell a colleague, I may need your assistance, do you have time to help me with this? To trust your team members. I think that the technology, and I love our technology, but we're forgetting how to communicate just as normal human beings. And I think it does seep into how we represent professionally, or our fear of communicating in professional settings. And I've noticed, as I've worked with a lot of real estate agents in this capacity, getting them over the hump sometimes is just helping them find their words. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Finding their words that are comfortable for them to speak is just such a game changer when they have to then communicate. And I still remember, I don't remember much from college, and that's just a reflection because I went to a state college, but with a very, very fun dorm system. But the one thing I remember absolutely to every emotion I had was this speech class that I was in. And they gave us the topics of the speech. You know, this one is going to be on this one's going to be on that. And I get up there like, because I wasn't attached to the topic. And about 4 opportunities to get up in front of the class was the topic of just pick one, anything you like. And I played golf. I was on the, golf team and stuff. And so I just broke down the golf swing on a table in front of the entire group. It was by far the most comfortable I'd ever presented in a group of 50, 60 kids at the time. And I just remember that, like that, I could have gone on all day. I could have showed them every single thing about the golf swing. It was the easiest conversation I had, as opposed to the previous 3 or 4 speeches that it was a topic that I didn't give a rat's patootie about. So it's when you can find that comfort zone with somebody else who walks in, whether it be a college sweatshirt or, the hat they're wearing or the car they drove or what their kids are doing, whatever it is, once you find that connection and you're comfortable with the topic, boom,
Yes.
they just communicate and go, because it doesn't have to be about real estate. It's just it's just talking. It's just finding out.
Human.
Yes.
Because real estate is lifestyle, and lifestyle is huge. So there is no topic that doesn't fall under real estate. Really, I mean, because everything we have, from politics to sports, everything revolves around where you live, how you live, what you do. So you're going to find some type of conduit there eventually, but just talk with something you're comfortable with and they're resonating with.
So good. And isn't it so interesting that we endeavor to use technology to solve a human problem? And the human concern here is just have conversations. The art of the conversation is lost because we've got too many other distractions. So I hear your message of just get used to find your voice, ask great questions. And if success leaves clues, what are the highest performing agents consistently focused on, Joe, that everyone else seems to overlook?
Well, first I'll say it's not what most people think is the obvious, which is a monetary gain. I think, we have so many goal processes that say, here's what I want to make. How do I get there? I'm not sure a lot of agents wake up and say, this is the dollar amount I have to hit. I do think they need wins. I think they have high level objectives, goals. I'm not saying that they're not planners. They are. That is what I try to bring down to the newer agents or the mediocre middle range agents is if you're chasing a dollar right now, good, have that goal, have that I need so many thousands of dollars to eat this month. That's relevant. And Roger, I love yours. When is the rent due? It's due today. Yeah. In fact, let's do today. So, that is exactly what they have. But when they're setting that, what's making them motivated, I think it's getting other wins as well. And when I'm working with a brand new agent, I say, you can't be happy with only 3 wins this year if your only win is a closing. Your wins have to be more than that. You need more wins. So make sure that when you get a response to this, that's a win. Celebrate it. Come home that night, celebrate. Do a little, have a little scotch or something. Do something that says, I had a win today. And then I think as you go higher up that success level, you have more and more wins. They're not always monetary. There are some that are monetary. We know from all sorts of industries that it's not just a raise that motivates your employees. It's, the pat on the back, the good word, the idea that you're doing something bigger. All those things play out for top producing
doing something with a purpose.
Yeah.
Work with purpose. That's so cute for so many.
Yeah. And have them remember the clients that they served. I mean, that's, look back, those people are their kids. We see it in social media, right? Kids are doing wonderful in high school. Like, I sold them the house.
Yes.
I played a role in that kid succeeding right now in lacrosse because they live across from the high school.
Yeah.
In a house that I know they never did the sewer lateral, but still the kid's doing wonderful.
They're in the living business, helping people live.
Yeah. We're in the living business. Absolutely. Yeah. Great, Amy.
So, Joe,
I charge extra for that.
Yeah, I try having an account going. Just let me know what it tells at.
People want high income, and I've noticed that with my mentees that I'm coaching, the ones that become more and more successful are not just worried about high income, they're more worried about high income per hour. In other words, they've realized that 80% of the results come from 20% of the activities. So if they focus and channel their energy in the right activities, you can have massive income per hour, and then go and spend time with your family, go on vacation, just drop off, agreements and go on vacation again because they've channeled their energy correctly. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. They found more value in what they do or what their job is than just that end of the line dollar amount. Because when and Roger, you might have heard me talk about this. One of my constant discussions is separating price and value. It starts from Warren Buffett's value is what you get, price is what you pay. I do the same thing in real estate with the buyer dictates price, seller dictates value, the seller has retention value. So when I look at that from what does value mean, I look at that from my seller's standpoint as well. What's the value for this seller? Is it highest maximum price? Is it a stress-free transaction? Both. Is it getting them moved on to their next transition quicker and easier? Do they have the bandwidth to do this much to get that higher price home? Is value just tied to the price of the sale, or is there other elements of value? And there are other elements of value. So that's when I say I want to maximize my client's value, that's not necessarily saying I want to maximize the sale of the house. I do, but it's not just that. There's other values that I have to reach for them. Same with an agent. They can't just I have to sell this to get this level of price value. I need to have the availability to do something else in my community. I'd rather coach my child, decisions I made. I'd rather be involved in my community, building up the entire community than just selling one house at a time. There's value that I found that didn't just come through the price of the commissions I received at the end of the year. So when you kind of determine that level of what your values are in this business, then that's a goal setting opportunity for you to say, I want to do this much. I do this much to afford me to make these other value options. And sometimes, that comes with a cost. Now I have to have an employee. To get to this next level, I need an assistant. Now I got to manage this assistant. And this assistant needs me to pull them around. And now I'm spending more time than that than taking my daughter to softball. What have I done? So you got to be careful with the value being just the price. It needs to be more than that.
I love
Absolutely
it.
right.
Roger, for sake of time, we each get one more question.
All three of us?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can ask us anything you want. I would love it.
Amy, go ahead.
All right, my last question for Joe, and I promise, because Roger gets to bring it in for a home run.
Yeah.
Joe, after 30 years, even though you're only 25, we know that, but after 30 some odd years of doing this business, what would you go back and tell yourself in the first year?
Well, I think that's pretty unique for me, and it would be stop moving to more markets. I have lived in some beautiful areas, but I did change my address too often because I wanted to go out. I wanted to live in Tahoe. So I was doing well in Napa. I had to go live in Tahoe. Then I took the job in San Diego. Then I was back to the Bay Area. So if I had just stuck in one spot, I think that would have been a different, maybe not as enriching, but from a real estate standpoint, it would probably have been more lucrative for me to stay in one market at a long period of time. That said, it would have been what I teach now to have committed to a system, a very mechanical system of contacting clients. I know a guy in Fresno who sends 300 birthday cards a year. That's it. That's his marketing program. And he does a ton of business because he has not missed a year where he didn't send out 300 cards. And Fresno's a town where you can meet other people, but it's still consistency with a system makes all the difference in the world, I think, when you look over a long period of time.
I think you just answered Jeff's question too.
I think you did too, yeah.
Honestly, you just literally, Jeff, that was the answer. We take it.
Yeah, I think it is some of the same activities if it's in a system, not just activities with outside that. Yeah, very good, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, Roger.
Yeah, isn't it? It's so interesting, Joe, because it seems like we don't rise to the level of our goals. We drop to the level of our systems, right? And there's a certain labor revenue exchange. You do labor, you get revenue back. But don't mistake productivity for being busy. Pick the right activities, right? And it's getting that mindset right in the morning. It's deciding what time you work. And that prospecting and sales is never a leftover activity. The day that you don't prospect is a day that you're unemployed, right? And so my final question to you, Joe, is what's the one thing every realtor should stop doing tomorrow and the one thing every realtor should start doing tomorrow?
Ooh. Wow. He squeezed in a two-parter. I just want to
I did.
I just want to be clear.
I'm in trouble.
The one thing they should stop doing is changing to the next opportunity every time it comes. Like I said earlier, switching guns all the time, going from this to this to this to this. I'm going to go totally obscure. We've talked about so many kind of broad things in this discussion. One thing that would make agents so much better, and this is outside the selling, but more towards being a better professional agent. This is going to blow your mind, but I've seen it work. Read the contracts, read the emails, read the stuff that comes to you. reading is the simplest task that we can do that makes the biggest difference in how we can get more business or understand the transaction. I have seen so many errors and failures, and it does hurt an agent. It does hurt when they get into a transaction and have a bad situation happen because they didn't understand the process when the process was laid out beautifully in a 17-page CAR purchase agreement. So read the documents and you're already ahead of the game, and you will make less mistakes. You will not have to go back and find new clients. You'll get more business by just being a professional and reading the documents. We're not taught that anymore. We're taught to go online and ask, to go do this, to solve one issue at a time when it becomes an issue, as opposed to just reading the stuff and knowing what's going to happen before it happens and guiding your clients the right way.
It's like right back to high school. Check your work.
check your work. If you're out there and you're a real estate broker, sales manager watching this, and you heard me just say, read the contract, you probably have a different appreciation for that than others. But that is one of our biggest challenges, is the agents didn't read the contracts they're asking, or the documents, disclosures, whatever, that they're asking their clients to sign. You got to do that. You've made a huge mistake.
Sorry.
No. I took that, Amy. In fact, I forgot what I owe you, but the applause is going on the tally sheet.
Thank you. I've kept a little tally sheet. We'll square up after the show. Thank you.
Because Amy, didn't you love that answer that Joe gave? Because for most newer agents, 8 out of 10 are gone within the first year. They endeavor to sell a home to their mother, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, then gone because they don't do their homework. They don't pick the right brokerage. They don't pick the right mentor. They don't listen. And just because you're an independent contractor doesn't mean you've got all the answers. Pick a good mentor like Joe Burns. Listen, take notes, read, focus, right? What are your thoughts, Amy?
I think Joe is probably like, wait a minute, appointment only. It's on the hook.
Yeah.
But I couldn't agree more. I think it's in anything that we do, even if we are a solopreneur or in any industry, you have to have the coaching, the mentorship, and someone that you say, I see what they've done and I need to plug into that, and align yourself, join focus groups, join mastermind groups, join anything that you can do that's going to encourage you and teach you those tools. And I couldn't agree more. And Joe has clearly led with that example all these years with the amount of professionals that he's worked with.
Yeah, absolutely right. Across the board, they learned from Joe. Yep.
All right, Joe, do you have a question for us? I'm just kidding. Your turn.
What's the big project the Rancho Santa Fe Rotary Club's working on right now? What are you doing?
Oh, my goodness. I know we work very closely with an orphanage down in Mexico, and we have been really helping them with some of the resources that they need. And they just went down to bring them a whole slew of items. They've remodeled things, new bathrooms, new showers, new kitchen. So it's a really special place that our club is very, very dedicated to. Rotarians around the world, if you're watching, it's not familiar, they're doing amazing service projects all over the world. And before this show, Joe and I found out that we were both connected. He used to be a member of the club that I'm a member of, and we have some things in common when it comes to making the world a better place by giving back.
Congratulations on that, and for that very thing, Amy. As busy as you are, to give back is the name of the game. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Joe, this has just been absolutely incredible. Roger, mic drop, because you are connected to such amazing humans, and clearly you brought in just a diamond here. Yep. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I trust that all our friends that are listening here, if you want to become more, invest in your skills, read the contract.
Honestly,
invest in your ability to stay focused on
and
what
disclosures
most. Right?
Yes.
Check your work, read the contract. Joe, would you be willing to come back again another time? Because we are loaded with subjects and our brains are always on super hyperspace. Would you join us?
Absolutely. And I'd love to give your listeners maybe updates with what's going on in CAR at some time. Yes. Some of the changes that we have going on through that Association.
Let's have a whole
Mine's over
CAR
there.
discussion. That would be absolutely incredible. I would love that. And Joe, stay with us so we can say goodbye afterwards. For all of you listening and following, thank you so much for being a part of this show. We have other great episodes that are there wherever you are streaming or watching this, whether you're on YouTube afterwards, whether you're live with us right now. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Make sure and send us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear. And we will see you next time. On behalf of Joe Burns, Roger Savvy, my amazing co-host, and myself, Amy Scruggs, we will see you next time.